Then you have, Al-Tha'bani, he said something about love, and I mentioned this before. مَنْ أَحَبَّ اللَّهَ أَحَبَّ رَسُولَهُ مُحَمَّدًا صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Whoever loved Allah loved His Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم. Whoever loved the Messenger loved the people, the Arab people. Whoever loved the Arab people loved their language. Whoever loved that language spent time learning it and put effort in it and exhausted their resources in acquiring it. Then there's a few others that I wanted to share with you just to give you perspective again. لا سبيل إلى علم القرآن وإدراك معانيه إلا بالتبحر في هذه اللغة. Imam al-Suyuti رحمه الله. There is no possible path to the knowledge of Quran and to the internalization of its meanings except by diving into this language. The most categorical statements, however, come from the Sahaba. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, تَعَلَّمُوا الْعَرَبِيَّةَ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ دِينِكُمْ. Learn Arabic because it's from your deen. Learn Arabic because it's what? From your deen. And who says this? Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He says, لَا يُقْرِئُ الْقُرْآنِ إِلَّا عَالِمًا بِاللُّغَةِ. No one should teach Quran except they know the language. Most Quran teachers around the world don't know Arabic. You know that? Most people that teach Hifz, for example, around the Muslim world, don't know Arabic. And this is a categorical statement by Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam warned about people that will be reading Quran, that will come a generation, لَا يُجَاوِزُ تَرَاقِيهِمْ, it won't go below their throats. Right? And so and finally I leave you with Quran because that's the most important. The Quran mentions the Arabic language 11 times. 11 times. And just in one instance where it doesn't mention Arabic, it actually talks about the Yahud, and it says, وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِي وَإِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يَظُنُّونَ. Among them are uneducated, unlettered people. They don't know the book except their own wishes. They don't really know the book. They know their wishes, and they say their wishes are from the book. Right? And they do nothing but make assumptions. Right? This is describing who again? The Yahud. The Bani Israel. And when this ayah was revealed, you know how the Sahaba understood it? They said, Amani, this wishful thinking, ay tilawa. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, this is tilawa. Meaning, they are happy reciting the book, they don't need to know what it means. Who does that describe today? Describes the Muslims. يَعْلَمُونَهُ حِفْظًا وَقِرَاءَةً بِلَا فَهْمٍ لَا يَدْرُونَ مَا فِيهَا. They know it in terms of memorization, they know it in terms of recitation, they have no idea what's in it. لا يعلمون فقه الكتاب إنما يقتصرون على ما يتلى عليه. They don't know the fiqh, the deep knowledge of the book. They are completely content with what is recited on them. That's enough for them. So pop in the CD and you're religious. Right? Put in your favorite reciter and that's your song. You're happy with it. I love that reciter. It's awesome. Why? Because there's a lot of people crying in the background. I don't know what they're crying about, but it's awesome. Right? So, this was Umar ibn Khattab. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, all of you know how big a sin it is to forget some Quran, right? And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu says, I'd rather forget portions of Quran than make a grammatical mistake. Ibn Abi Ka'b radiallahu anhu says, teach your children Arabic like you teach them memorization of Quran. Right? So this is a serious issue with the Sahaba. It's a very serious issue. So this was, I don't want to take any more time on that issue. That was the second point. The third point, with particularly Quran, because that is the most primary, Quran, Sunnah, and then further down, and Quran and Sunnah we established before cannot be separated. But let's take the primary, which is what? Quran, for a moment. The Quran is a book different from any other book. And if you don't remember anything from my talk, just remember this part, okay? The Quran is a book different from any other book. With any other book, there are certain prerequisites. If you're studying a book on English literature, you better know English first, right? Or you better know something about literature first. If you're studying accounting 3, you better know accounting 1 and 2 first, right? So there are academic prerequisites. But Quran is different because it represents 2 types of prerequisites. For those of you taking notes, please write this down. 2 different types of prerequisites. The first set of prerequisites are academic prerequisites. And the academic prerequisites are outlined in books of usul tafsir most of the time. Principles of expounding on the Quran exegesis. Big word, exegesis. Some people are like, what does Jesus have to do with Quran? But anyway, tafsir. Let's keep it easy. Alright. So, the academic prerequisites I'm not going to go into. Like context of revelation and tanasub and language and etc. etc. There's a whole list of them, right? But I will go into the ignored prerequisites, which are and I call them the internal prerequisites. There are internal prerequisites, and there are 4 of them, and I'll close with this. Okay? Internal prerequisites. The first of them is intention. When I teach a course, I teach in college, I teach Arabic, right? And I give a survey in the beginning, why are you taking this class? Some people say it's a requirement, some people say I'm from Pakistan, I think I can get an easy A. Okay, they don't, but at least they try, and the others say to enhance my career, which just means they want to phone tap eventually, right? So people come to the same class with different intentions, don't they? Someone's genuinely interested in accounting. God knows why, but they are. And some people just have, a prerequisite. They have to take this course. Others, it's part of their major, right? So people come to the same class and same study with different reasons. But with Quran, the intention has to be exactly the same across the board. And that is the seeking of guidance. If you don't have the intention of seeking guidance from Quran, doesn't matter how much of a scholar you become of Quran, I don't care if you memorize the whole thing and you've memorized 3 tafasir, I don't care, you don't understand Quran at all. Because the intention was wrong, Allah did not open your understanding. Our understanding in Islam is based on 2 elements, the heart and the mind, right? 2 things, sorry. The heart and the mind. And what can you open up when you study? You open up your mind. But your heart's not open. And both of them together make understanding. So if you don't have the right intention, what's not going to open? Your heart's not going to open. Therefore, you will not have understanding. You will be like who that Allah describes in the Quran, who know the book but doesn't benefit them any. That is the Yahud, the ulama of Bani Israel. Right, the scholars of the sons of Israel. يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They know their book so well that they recognize Muhammad ﷺ like they would their own sons. Or the Quran like they would their own book. Right? Or the Kaaba, that this is the correct house of Allah. But it doesn't change anything. So knowledge will not be beneficial unless the intention is what? The seeking of guidance. Guidance is a very vague term. It's thrown around constantly. So I'm going to give you a very specific, very limited definition of the term guidance. I'm going to offer this to you as a definition. The commitment to make the decision, any decision, in accordance with the Book of Allah at any given moment, at every juncture of making a decision. At every juncture. Whenever you're presented with a choice, you take the choice offered by Kitabullah. That is accepting Quran as what? Guidance. Everything else is accepting Quran as a book of blessings, Quran is a book of healing, Quran is a book of protection, you go on and go on, so on and so forth, but you haven't accepted Quran as guidance until you have made the commitment that whatever you've internalized, when you come to a decision, you will take the decision from the Book of Allah, that will be your route. It's a very difficult decision to make, but that's the first thing, the change of our intentions. The second thing, I'll go fast, the change of attitude. There are 2 elements of our attitude that need to change internally about the Quran. And before we talk about these attitudes, understand the popular bad attitudes, the rotten attitudes that are rampant in this ummah about Quran. And I'm going to list some of them. The Quran is a book of blessings. That's what it is. It's a bonus book. So open it in bonus season. What's bonus season for Muslims? Ramadan. So everybody's reading Quran in Ramadan because it's a book of just bonus. Right? So otherwise you close it and you put it away. And why do you open it in the Quran? Because you get 10 blessings for every harf you recite, and on top of that you get other blessings because it's Ramadan, so it's all good in that month. And you've got enough, you've raked in enough commission for the rest of the year. Some people actually sit and do the math. Right? So the Quran is a book of blessings. Blessings are a secondary benefit of Quran. Guidance is the primary purpose of Quran. You forget the primary purpose, you go for the secondary benefit, you've actually incurred the wrath of Allah. You're thinking you're being blessed, but you're actually incurring the wrath of Allah because you denied the primary function of the book. That is to seek guidance from the book. So there will be people that are reciting it, and they are reciting ayat like, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. If you don't give this up, then, if you don't do this, then, take the announcement of war against Allah and His Messenger, and this is ayat about riba, and then they will go back into their home, they'll be reciting this in their home that they have out on a mortgage. And they'll be reciting it very happily because it's Ramadan season. Right? This is a serious issue. So Quran is just a book of blessings for some people. For other people, it's a book of healing. So if you don't have dual side airbags, make sure it's in the dashboard. Right? Or have something hanging from the rear view window, Ayatul Kursi or something. Because that's going to protect you from a car accident. And moreover, for some of the thugs, big Allah chain, Ayatul Kursi chain, and in their imagination, if somebody even shoots them, somehow this is going to just deflect the bullet, because it's their force field, right? It protects them. All across the Muslim world, what do people do? My son is sick, or protect them, there's some jinn on him, oh, come, let me fix you. They'll come and they'll write Qul Huwallahu Ahad on a piece of paper, and dip it in some water, and ask the child to drink it. He's like, that's ink, I'm not drinking that. And the mom smacks him from behind, drink it. And he drinks it, and they take that patch, they wrap it up in a nicotine patch thing, and they put it over here, and this is going to protect him from any kind of, trouble. So Quran's book of healing. I've seen even Islamic stores sell these cups that have calligraphy on the inside, because you drink from them, you're straight. Right? You got allergies, you don't take Allegra. No, Claritin's nothing. You just take this cup, you just pour some water in. Even soda works, because it's Quran, fix anything. Right? So, what we've done with Quran is we've reduced it to something that it's not. Right? And the other most rampant attitude is the Quran deserves so much respect it shouldn't even be studied. It's so high. Oh my God, it's really high. So if it's on the second bookshelf, and there's another book on top, your parents will, hey, you put Quran on there? Shame on you. And you left the Quran open? Astaghfirullah, the shaitan's going to read it. I asked my mom once, wouldn't that be a good thing? But anyway, so we've got these weird ideas about what the Book of Allah is supposed to be. Right? And it's so much respect that we beautify it, right? You can see the beautiful glossy print, right? You've got the calligraphy design covers, these Islamic art covers. Very beautiful book, right? Really pretty golden embroidery, things like that, right? And what was the Sahabi? Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala anhu. إِذَا زَوَقْتُمُ الْمَسَاجِدِ زَخْرَفْتُمُ الْمَصَاحِفِ فَالدَّمَارُ عَلَيْكُمْ. When you start beautifying your masajid, and you start decorating your copies of Quran, then you know that destruction is on you, because you're worried about the wrong thing. Right? And that's us today. You got the most beautiful, anybody want to give a presentation on Islam? What do they give a presentation on? Calligraphy. And you have the calligraphy saying something like, fight them wherever you find them. Look at the beautiful design. So everything's out of context. So this is something that is rampant in the ummah today, and we have to change that. We have to fix the attitude. So the two elements of correct attitude. Number one, Quran is a book beyond criticism. The Quran is a book beyond criticism. All of you are students in the West. You learn as part of your academic training that literary criticism. When you buy a book on BarnesandNoble.com, you get 3 stars, 2 stars, 4 stars, right? You get literary criticism. But Quran is a book above and beyond literary criticism. Before a believer even opens this book, his attitude is, whatever this book has to say, whether it makes sense to me or not. It is perfect, it is better than anything else, it represents the climax of all wisdom, and if I don't get it, it must mean that I am not smart enough. So the question, this doesn't make sense, is invalid for Quran. This doesn't make sense is not the question in Quran. What's the question? I don't understand this. That's the question. Not this doesn't make sense. But you know what? You get this doesn't make sense all the time. How come in the story of this says this, and this doesn't make sense, and this is not logical, and how come the scientific evidence refutes this, or how come this, and how come... And Muslims are asking these questions. Right? The Quran is beyond criticism. Beyond criticism. The second part of our attitude, and because I have to rush, I'm not going to explain that more. The second part of our attitude, the Quran represents the highest priority. It represents the highest priority. What do I mean by priority? You want to understand what priority is? How many have midterms coming up or finals coming up soon? Right? Okay. The relationship you're going to have with your textbook the night before the exam, that's priority. You understand? The relationship you're going to have with your teacher the day he's covering the review for the exam, that's priority. Right? Every word is like golden. What did you say? Can you say that again? I missed something. And you missed it, you look at the next person, did you catch that? Oh, highlighting inside the book. Definitions are being memorized, right? Nights are being lost. People are missing their favorite TV shows because they're in exam the next day. They're still recording it. Right? So, the attitude that this is a serious priority. But this is, our textbooks are seasonal priorities, right? So exam time, crunch time priorities. But the Quran is a daily top priority. Why? We believe it is the most important document revealed or available to all of mankind for my personal life. Of course for all of mankind, but for my personal life, the most essential document, the most critical memo that guides me every single day, that tells me what to do every single day, is the Book of Allah. When you go to work and your boss sends you a memo, that basically gives you direction for what you're going to do that day, right? It gives you instructions that this basically dictates the rest of your work day. This is what happens, right? When you go to a semester, the professor hands you a syllabus, day-to-day progress. This is what we're going to be doing. The Quran needs to be our daily concern, our daily concern. Many of us haven't picked up the Book of Allah for many months now. When we forget memorizing and studying Arabic, those are higher things. We haven't even picked